403B2D and Section 6 of the Sanford City Council Rules of Procedure as amended and adopted August 3rd, 2021, reflecting recent recommendations of the U.S. CDC and adoption by the State of Maine CDC pertaining to the conduct of meetings indoors in the public space. Members of the public may join the meeting by phone by dialing 1-929-205-6099 using meeting ID 833-4645-1967 and password 371555 or via computer
so that no
at the
human
link
being
provided
can ever.
on the city's website. Members of the public may also submit comments via the City of Sanford website at www.sanfordmaine.org under Email City Department City Council. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Deputy Mayor Herlihy. I ask that everybody please mute your computers, and we will just listen to her recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, I'd like to dedicate the moment of silence to our fellow city councilor and my neighbor, John Tuttle, who lost his life this week at the very young age of 70 years old. Thank you for all your years of dedicated service to this community, your love for this community, and your love for our East Side. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Herlihy. I'll call the roll this evening. Councilor Brink.
Present.
Councilor Martell is absent with notice. Councilor Hanselman.
Present.
Councilor Stackpole.
Space bar is not working. Present.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Present.
And I'm Anne Marie Mastracchio, the Mayor of City Sanford, and this evening we're joined by Larissa Ricketts, the manager's executive assistant, and because Steve Buck is not here this evening. I think that Ian Houseel, it might be standing in for him for some things. He's the community development director, so thank you, Ian. First item on the agenda are the minutes. 22-47-01. Order to approve the minutes from the regular City Council meeting held on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Stackpole, second by Councilor Brink. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Councilor Brink?
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman?
Yes.
Councilor Stackpole?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
Yes. Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is unanimous of all those present. 22-48-01. Order to approve the minutes from the executive session of the City Council held on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Motion by Councilor Stackpole. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brink. No discussion. I will call the roll. Councilor Brink?
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman?
Yes.
Councilor Stackpole?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is unanimous of all those present. Mayor's report, City Council subcommittee reports. I don't think we have any subcommittee reports, but I will, and I have a short report. Due to staff time off, the February Council subcommittee meetings will be moved to the fourth Tuesday and Wednesday of the month, February 22nd and 23rd. The times for subcommittee meetings will remain the same as usual, and the next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council on February 15th will not be affected by this change. In addition, the City Council is planning a workshop with our new communications coordinator for Tuesday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. This will be a Zoom meeting accessible by the public in the usual manner. As most of you know by now, last week we lost our friend and colleague, Councilor John Tuttle. His wake will be this Thursday from 4 to 8 at Carl Heald and Black Funeral Home, and his funeral mass will be held at St. Therese de Lisieux Parish, Holy Family Church on Saturday at 11 a.m. While we will recognize and honor Counselor Tuttle's service to our community more formally in the future, tonight we send our condolences and prayers to his wife Anne and daughter Megan. There was no one who cared more about Sanford and its residents, and we will all miss him. Communications and presentations, 22-37-01. Presentation by the Public Works Engineering Division on the City of Sanford Technical Manual and publishing for a public comment period prior to adoption consideration. I think this is going to be Matt Hill, correct? I will turn this over to you, Matt.
Thank you. So we've been working on consolidating the city's technical standards for the past few years. And I don't know if Ian has the ability to share the PDF that I've forwarded.
Do you need that, Matt, or you can do it yourself if you've gotten those, you have those privileges?
If you could share it, that would be great.
Okay.
I've got it pulled up on my remote session, but it's going to be difficult to pull up there. Perfect. Okay. So would you be able to just zoom in so that everyone can read along at home? I'll just read you the short introduction letter or memorandum. There we go. All right. So this document's been written to provide technical direction to residents, businesses, utilities, developers, engineers, architects, consultants, contractors, inspectors, stakeholders, and the stewards of the city, with the intent of realizing a modern set of standards and practices through which to consistently better the municipality. These standards represent current and widely accepted practices within their respective industries for which professionals should already be familiar. Much of the enclosed is therefore based on reference to professional authorities and organizations, including but not limited to the Maine Department of Transportation, the American Association of State and Highway and Transportation Officials, the Federal Highway Administration, and the Maine Department of Environmental Protection. This manual will be updated periodically with new technology, practices, and as new references are reviewed and accepted by the City of Sanford Department of Public Works Engineering Division. And then it goes order of precedence between federal law, state law, municipal, sorry, we have dogs. And then, sorry, could you scroll down too, please? Special provisions, plans, supplemental specifications, then the City of Sanford Technical Manual, and then standard details and plans as proposed by, let's say, developers, for example. All construction specifications, materials, and methods not mentioned or referred to herein shall defer to those of the Maine DOT standard specifications and standard details, latest edition. And finally, though these standards often range from mandatory to recommended practices, the city remains open to innovations as noted above. Should an applicant wish to propose alternatives outside of these standards, the city may be willing to consider them. Applicants should be prepared to demonstrate or provide documentation pertaining to the merits, effectiveness, and maintainability of their proposals. Applicants should also understand that along with this effort to consider potential alternative means and methods, there'll be a corresponding effort and time needed from city staff to vet the proposals and approve them if necessary. So basically, what is included in the manual is just a strict set of technical standards on things like how to build a road or how we should have sidewalk, driveway, pedestrian connectivity, drainage, excavation, work zone traffic control, paving standards. It goes on and on. The intent of this manual is to put it all under one cover. If you're a developer or a builder or even a resident who wants to do significant amounts of construction or technical work, build a sidewalk, there's a one-stop source on where you can come. It is noted in here and a lot, admittedly, the technical manual does refer to other professional standards, and it says right in my memo, that professionals are aware of. This is not intended to stop a small applicant who maybe doesn't have the resources of a large consultant or contractor at their fingertips, but it is they're provided to give them some direction on the expectations of the city. If you were to go and look for some of these standards right now, you might find them in zoning, you might find them in subdivision, you might find them in site plan, you might not find them at all. And the intent was just try to put them in one common place. And as I tried to also include in that disclaimer, the intent here is to make a living document. The intent here is to make a living document. This is not something that's we final draft and it's good to go. We intend to, review this at least annually and make updates as necessary as technologies and practices evolve. If there's a new practice out there, we want to stay on the cutting edge. We want to be able to consider it, give its due consideration. Maybe we should try it out. Maybe it's being practiced elsewhere in the country or the world, and maybe, it's worth a shot. But that's something that we need to, talk to professionals about and consider in due course. So I have circulated amongst some of the city staff already. I do have some comments back that are actually not reflected in this current version. But I wanted to get in front of the council tonight to let you know that it's going to be posted out there on the Public Works webpage. You'll be able to download a full PDF. It's about 130 pages, so less than an inch thick. And then if you have any comments on it, you're welcome to send your comments in writing, or you could, if there's a detail and you want to mark it up in red and scan it and send it back to me, we've got an email address set up for techmanualcomments@sanfordmaine.org. And we're going to receive the comments for about, give or take the next 6 weeks. We're looking for public comments and then come back to, we also want to, through the planning department, talk to the planning board. We're also, through Director Della Valle's coordination, we've got our legal counsel involved to make sure that it's not an ordinance, it's just a technical reference. So we're going to come up with some language for that as well. And I welcome any questions that you might have tonight.
So Matt, can I ask, this is going to come back again before the council then?
Ultimately.
Okay, so your timeline is, because my concerns were, I didn't understand, where, when, and how you were going to solicit public comment, because to me it doesn't seem enough to just come to a council meeting and then just stick it up on your website unless we have a better way to disseminate the fact that it's out there to the people who might want to actually look at it and use it. So I guess I'm asking, how are you going to make sure that people know that this is there? And who are you specifically? I mean, honestly, it's a pretty, I read it through, but I would have to read it through about 5 times before I really felt like I had a clue what some of the things were about. Obviously, there were some things that I was more familiar with, but I'm thinking that people that want to do work, I just want to make sure that they know that this is here and that,
Sure.
that we give them enough time to be able to look at it and comment on that. So can you give me an idea? Is it really just 6 weeks?
No, I mean, we could extend it if there's significant, concerns or major stumbling blocks that come up. We could extend that. That's not set in stone. We also have a set number of consultants and developers, say that we've worked with in the last couple of years. I mean, we have contact information for all those people, so we could send out, an mass.
Good idea.
Inform them where it is, how they can find it, how they can make comments on it. We have some local professionals that we deal with all the time. And frankly, they're the ones that we're most anxious to hear back from on, because, if they're going to be using it as a resource, we'd like to make sure it fits their, expectations. There's also room in the technical manual for future expansions, for CAD standards for the city. When you develop plans in Sanford, should there be CAD standards? Other communities have those. That's one example, but it does leave room for expansion too.
Well, thanks, Maddox. So I would appreciate that you would make sure that gets sent out to anybody. It's not like we have to put it in the mail. It can go out by email, and whether they choose to do it or not, at least we'll have a record that we sent it out and invited their comments. I see Councillor Stackpole has his hand up. Go ahead, Councillor Stackpole.
Just a quick observation, Matt. I think of of this. And this may be another piece of software or application that it could work in, but I look at this and say maybe some kind of shared Google document, because I mean that the anonymity associated with just putting that up on the internet concerns me, so would require a little more thought to make sure you were getting legitimate comments from concerned citizens, we'll call them. But there may be, I know the city is more into Microsoft products or something else where it can be just a shared document. You've probably worked in Google Docs before, but you can go in, if you see a word that's misspelled, you can highlight it, typical editing stuff. You can line out things, put in suggestions, put a box over on the side for notes and those kind of things. It might be an interesting way to gather feedback on this in an efficient manner, because you just have the one document, then you can go with a team or whatever and review the whole document, or do it a section by section or something like that. Just a quick thought. It's up to you how you do it. I'm not interfering, just sharing some thoughts here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm more familiar with the track changes in the Microsoft Office suite. It's been my experience that the track changes when you share it with one person or two people is really good. When you share it with a lot of people, it tends to get very confusing very fast because somebody's maybe making comments in a section that's already been modified.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Matt this evening? Okay, then I think we're all set, Matt. Look forward to seeing what the comments are and what you come back with for the council.
Yep. It should be up and running to be able to be found right now on the Public Works webpage.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the item on the agenda is public participation for items that are not on the agenda. And I'm looking for hands up. I didn't get any advance notice that anybody wanted to speak this evening. I don't see any hands up. I'll give you another 10 seconds to put your hand up if you want to speak. I don't see any, so I will close public participation. Public hearings. The City Council will take public comment on the following. 22-38-01, a public hearing to receive comments in favor or against the renewal application submitted by Gaia Farms, LLC for a medical marijuana grower-cultivator license at 168 Country Club Road, Unit C, Sanford, Maine. I'll declare the public hearing opened. Is there anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Hey, Jamie, did you want to speak?
I think it would be good if I speak just at the beginning of the year, not necessarily about this applicant, but just to remind the council, we're approaching the yearly license requirement for all of our medical marijuana grow facilities and manufacturing facilities. So over the next several council meetings, you will have several more of these coming through. These are the annual licenses. And just so you guys know, by the time they get to you guys, we have already inspected them. We have already authorized them to get to this point. So there are no issues. Everything's been resolved. And these are the ones that are ready to go. I thought it would be good to let you guys know at the beginning of the year again, just to remind you, because there will be 25, 30 of these coming your way in the next month or so.
Looking forward to it, Jamie. Thanks. Okay, so anybody to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. 22-39-01, a public hearing to receive comments in favor or against the renewal application submitted by North Star Property Management for a medical marijuana grower-cultivator license at 72 Emery Street, Unit 201, Sanford, Maine. I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. The consent agenda 22-40-01, there are two items which, seeing no objection, we will approve. Old business. 22-5-01, ordered to accept and approve the city financial reports for the second quarter of fiscal year 21-22. And I think our finance director, Ronnie Champlin, is here this evening and will be presenting on this item. So, Ronnie, are you going to screen share?
I am not going to screen share.
You are not.
I am not.
Do you want to show do you want to show anything, or is somebody going to, or did you want us to just be, all right, so you're going to somebody's got it up for you. There you go. If that's what you just tell me what you need.
Thank you.
And somebody else will do it, and someone else will do it for you.
Thank you, Ian. Good evening. The quarterly financial reports for the quarter ended December 31st are presented to you as a review of the financial and operational information of the city of Sanford. These reports are intended to inform you and the residents of the financial condition of the city and to provide information that will assist you in making informed decisions. The information is unaudited and may not reflect all transactions and adjustments that apply to the activities through the second quarter of 2022. The purpose of these reports are to provide a summary of the major transactions most affecting the end of the month statements for the quarter ending December 31st. The second quarter, as you know, includes October through December, and in 6 months of operations under the 21-22 municipal budget, having a target of 6/12 or 50% of an annualized budget administration. The revenue summary report, including real estate and personal property tax collections, is closing at 55% or 5% over target year to date. The expense summary report is closing with total expenditures of $16,224,000, including encumbrances of $1.4 million, or 53%, just 3% over target year to date. This budget has proven, after 6 months of operations, an accurate reflection of the city's total cost of service provisions. The attachments included in your council backup document the municipal's operating budget revenues and expenditures for the second quarter at a more detailed level. As you know, departments proactively monitor their actual reports on a weekly basis. At this point in the fiscal year, there are only a few unbudgeted or unanticipated expenditures to report. We continue to watch the general assistance non-contract services line as it's over budget and is at 83.9% expended. As you know, we continue to receive state reimbursement at 70%. We continue to see retirements and resignations, and all variances are shown on the attached expense reports. The revenue report includes real estate taxes and personal property tax collections and is a relative position for the time of year and will change as activities and the billing cycle progress and should not be taken as a full indication of our year-end balance. The net cash position year to date is a positive $17.7 million. The net cash position is a balance sheet indication of the relative position of the budget for a given point in time and is not a full indication of the year-end balance. Overall, in relation to the 2022 adopted budget, any material concerns noted for the second quarter are being mitigated. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I see Councillor Stackpole has a question. I'm sorry, I had trouble unmuting myself for some reason.
Oh, that's okay.
That's all
Thank
right.
you, Ronnie. Go ahead, Councillor Stackpole.
Ronnie, thank you. Thank you for the report. Just two, I think, relatively easy questions here. Do you have any concerns about the city finances at this point that the council needs to be aware of? I realize you said some of the accounts are kind of tight, but do you have any concerns that the council needs to be aware of moving forward?
Again, I did mention general assistance. That's running over budget. We should be about 50% expended. They're at 89.9%. We get reimbursement from the state at 70%. So what happens is if Randy spends, more than we, appropriate, we'll get the 70% back from the state on the revenue side of things. So we're really not too concerned about that at this point. And then the second thing is we have a really hard time right now with resignations and filling open positions. That's not an issue budget-wise. I mean, it's an issue when you have buyouts and things of that nature, but it's an issue just finding, employees and retaining them. That's the biggest issue that we have right now.
Anything else, Councillor Stackpole? I think I lost him.
He's muted.
He's not talking either.
I suspect he's frozen.
Yep, I think he is. Okay, so Councillor Brink, go ahead. You have a question.
Yeah, and this is probably just where I'm new to this. Under the police other and police school resource officers, there's a huge negative in both of those lines, available budget. And one is negative 79,000, the other is a negative 149,000.
Okay.
Is that because of the form of bookkeeping and it's in another place? So could you just explain that part to me?
Certainly. So as far as the school resource officer line, as you know, the school department reimburses the city for that, and we pay the school resource officers. So the offset to that, you'll see on the revenue side, if you pull up the revenue report, you'll see that we don't budget the school resource officer revenue.
Right.
Those revenues cover the expenses that we have in order to pay those 3 school resource officers.
Okay, and what is the police other then?
It's a similar situation where when the police officers that do outside details, that's the line that they're paid out of. And on the offset to that, you'll look on the revenue report, you'll see the additional revenue coming in under outside details.
Okay.
And you'll see that we don't budget those revenues, but we do collect them.
Got it.
And
Thank
Becky,
you.
if that's not clear, give me a call tomorrow and I can walk you through the reports. Because of COVID, I haven't had an opportunity to sit with you, but generally when new counselors come on board, we take an opportunity to go through the reports and how to read them.
Well, I'm hard to train, by the way.
Any other questions from counselors? Counselor Hanselman, are you sure you don't have a question? Bronnie, you're getting out of this easy tonight.
Well, you know, I like that.
I know, that's because you gave a good report. So thank you, and I think we will have a motion to approve. Do I have someone willing to make that motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the financials as presented.
Counselor Hanselman made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Brink. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then I'll call the roll. Counselor Brink?
Yes.
Counselor Hanselman?
Yes.
Counselor Stackpole?
He hasn't made it back, Emery.
Oh, he hasn't. Okay.
He's not in the
Deputy
room or
Mayor
anything, is
Hurley?
he, Ian? Yeah, yes.
And I am also a yes. Did he make it back, Larissa?
Not that I have seen so far.
Okay, then I'll just say that it's unanimous of all those present, and Counselor Stackpole, you'll just make a note that he was not present for that vote. Okay, but we had 4 votes, and that's the minimum amount that we need. Okay. 22-41-01. Confirm the findings and order adjudging the boiler house of the International Woolen Mill to be a dangerous building and a nuisance pursuant to 17 MRSA sections 2851 to 2859 at the hearing held on January 18th, 2022, and authorize the city manager to sign the findings and order for the city council and have the city clerk record it in the registry of deeds and advertise it or serve it upon the owner and parties in interest as required by law. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Brink and a second by Counselor Hanselman.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ian, did you have anything that you needed to add that we didn't already hear at the hearing in last 2 weeks ago?
I'll let you know that I haven't heard anything regarding this property. I haven't heard anything from an owner or party in interest at all. Neither has the code enforcement officer.
Well, that's
what
interesting.
I can report back on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion by the council? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Counselor Brink?
Yes.
Counselor Hanselman?
Yes.
Is Counselor Stackpole back on?
He wasn't last I looked.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Hurley?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is unanimous of all those present. Okay, new business. 22-4.
Madam Mayor, we should really try to encourage counselors to phone in if they're having trouble with their internet in the future. If this is happening.
Well, but the problem is, I'm going to be honest with you. As long as we have a quorum,
yeah, but they should be listening in.
State law is very specific that when we're doing a roll call vote, the person needs to have their video on. So I appreciate that, but I really, especially some of these votes that we're taking, they are legal votes with 4 people. I'm sorry to say that it would be different if we didn't have a quorum, but we do, and I'm going to proceed, and hopefully he'll get back on. 22-45-01. Order to acquire the properties located at oh wait, I have to read a different one. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I knew I'd written it down somewhere else. 22-45-01. Order to acquire the properties located at tax map R1220 and R1221, also known currently as Springvale Nurseries, for the purpose of obtaining a site for a fire station using ARPA funds previously allocated, and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute any necessary documents for this transaction. We'll have a presentation first, and then we will discuss. I see somebody's hand up, but I don't recognize who they are, and I'm not going to recognize the public until the council has adequately discussed this issue. So I'm not sure who that person is, but when and if we get to that point and your hand is up, I will recognize you then. So, Ian.
Thank you. So to be clear, that this funding is using ARPA funds. This was allocated at the last City Council meeting on January 18th under Agenda Item 22301. Under the category of disproportionately impacted properties. This land acquisition will begin the process of relocating and upgrading fire department facilities to meet federal mandates. This location represents one of 2 required locations to meet a relational plan to provide adequate response times citywide and provide safe and compliant code compliant facilities. I'd be glad to answer any other questions that you have. We'd be looking for a vote here to acquire the property.
All right, so I'm just going to, the process that we are going to follow is, first there will be a motion to either approve it, and a second, and then the council will discuss, and then I will see if anybody else has any other questions once the council has discussed it. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Go ahead, Becky. All right.
A motion by Councilor Brink. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Herlihy. Discussion by the council. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy, go ahead, and then I will recognize the next councilor.
Just a comment so that people know, this is, we've looked at lots of land in town using a formula about where stations should be located in order to have the best response time possible for all residents of our community. Even the 2 and 3 stations we've had in the past are not serving for us, not only because of the station, but because of the response time. So this has been a long process looking at locations. We've found a site that we think meets the needs of the fire department for at least one of the sites. We have resources available through the ARPA funds to be able to acquire this site. I think it's a site that, if for any reason in the future the public decides to vote down having a fire station, we could resell. So I think this is a smart move for the future of the fire station, the fire department, the community. And I don't think there is a downside to purchasing this property at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Herlihy. Councilor Brink, your hand is up. Go ahead.
I would have to agree with Councilor Herlihy. I had no idea how hard it was to find land in Springvale and Sanford that would be adequate to build a fire station, fire department on. I was just amazed. I thought there would be more places, but there isn't. I think the city is in a great spot right now that we have these funds, so it is not going to cost the Sanford taxpayer money to be able to purchase this land. And even if we don't build a fire station on it right now, we can keep it and it'll be there for us in the future. And if the city ever decides to sell it, they're not going to be out the funds because it's actually valued at more than what we're going to purchase it for. So I think this is a great opportunity for the city of Sanford to be able to set this land aside for future building. So I'm just amazed, and I hope that we will luck out at some point for something for Springvale, because Springvale Fire Department is very inadequate also. If people in Sanford want to take a tour of either of these buildings, please do so. You will be surprised at the problems that are in these buildings and what needs to be done. And the high cost, you can't renovate these buildings. It just isn't appropriate. So I was glad to be a part of this so that even I now know I would definitely vote for not only purchasing this land now, but in the future, the need for fire departments for Sanford. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brink. Councilor Hanselman.
Well, I think that Deputy Mayor and Councilor Brink stole the show on that. So I just want to share that I'm in full agreement with their statements. And I think the peace of mind for me is that even if it isn't a future fire department site, I feel very confident that it's a good investment from the city's standpoint on a very favorable and developable piece of property in a good location in our community. So I feel really good about that piece of it as well. And I look forward to moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hanselman. And I'm just going to echo what they all had to say, is that there's only so much land that would be appropriate for a fire station. And we are in no way committing this vote this evening. We are just buying a piece of land. We're trying to look to the future and plan for our adequate public safety facilities. And it will still be a community process that will include a vote and bonding for any future fire stations that are built, and it will involve the whole community in that process. So this evening we are just voting to buy land that is appropriate for a fire station. Should we be successful in bonding for that? Is there any other staff or councilor comments before I call on the public? Okay, I see Diane Connolly's hand up, and I see, well, I'm going to do Philip first. Is it DeSotos? Is that how you pronounce your last name, sir?
Yeah, sure. It's Dr. Philip Desautel. How are you?
I'm fine. Can you just tell us where you live, please? And then I'd love to hear your comments.
Sure. I live at 406 Hanson Ridge Road in Springvale.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
I think the mission is great here, but my concern is that according to the ARPA grant documents and the legislation that puts it in place, that money is the money for land is only applicable to land that is earmarked to a project. And as all of the councilors have said, this is, and you finished off, this is land that is dedicated to investment right now. We don't have a project. So I'm concerned that the purchase will end up coming back to the taxpayers because this purchase is beyond the remit of the ARPA grant.
Thank you. I will let Ronnie Champlin speak to that. We pretty much vetted this, and the reason we can say that right now we're purchasing the land, our intent is to build a fire station on that, but clearly we would have to bond for that. So, Ronnie, did you want to speak to that?
The only thing I'd like to add about the land purchase is that City Manager Buck did follow up with the individual at MMA that was taking the lead on the ARPA funds, and he did get approval for the fire station land.
Thank you.
Did he get that approval after? I'm sorry, did he get that approval after 3 city councilors on a recorded meeting said that we were buying it for investment? That's the concern.
We aren't buying it for investment, sir. I mean, what we're saying is that if, God forbid, something happened and we weren't able to build a fire station, what we're realizing is that land is valuable, and land that is adequate to build a fire station is even more scarce than we thought. So we think we're doing the right thing to purchase this within a census tract that would qualify for that. So
I think the motion is good. I think you literally 3 councilors said that we're buying this for investment. So it should be.
Well, the motion that we're buying this evening, that we're voting on, I think I was pretty clear about that. But thank you, sir. Diane Connolly, go ahead.
Mayor, this is Diane from Springville. I have a question in regards to the other property that was voted down on the bond last year. Do you still need that extra land, or is that no more?
We're not going to, we're just discussing this evening the purchase of this land for that fire station. There's the fire station feasibility committee is still meeting and discussing other options. So I'm not going to discuss any other pieces of land other than the one we're talking about tonight. Deputy Mayor Herlihy, go ahead if you have a response.
The problem with the bond, I don't think there was a specific piece of land mentioned at all. People were guessing, but there was no specific piece of land. And as far as the commentary about investment, I think the concept is that it's an investment towards this fire station. I don't think, we're intending to sell it for profit. I think we need to have this fire station, and I think we're committed to working hard to convince the citizens of Sanford that this fire station is necessary. There is very little land in Sanford suitable for this fire station or for the other fire station. We're still having problems finding another parcel. So I think you're misinterpreting our comments about investment. It's an investment in the public safety. It is not a loss. We're not overpaying for the land. God forbid if something happened, we weren't able to build it. It's going to keep and probably continue to exceed its value, which we might not be able to afford in the future. So, we have a parcel that hopefully will have a fire station on it. If we can have the bond to build it, we need this fire station. There's no question. So I think it's a smart move on the city council's part to purchase a parcel of land from a scarce, almost non-existent selection in order that we do have the opportunity to upgrade our facilities for the fire station. So I'm sorry if you've misinterpreted some of our comments this evening. I don't think any of that was meant to be, hey, we're buying land just so we can resell it and make a profit. I don't think that's what we intended at all, and I'm sorry for that. Thank you.
Any other comments by councilors? I don't see any other hands up. Any other comments by anyone? Okay, then we have a motion on the table in a second. I'm going to call the roll. Has Councilor Stackpole joined us again? I don't see him up here.
Yes.
Oh, you are? Yes, you made it back.
Okay,
were you here for
internet.
did you have anything that you wanted to add to this discussion, or did you hear most of it?
I heard a little bit of it at the end, so I missed most of it. I just want to throw my hat in the ring and say that I think this is a good deal for the taxpayers, all the way around. It's a win-win. I'm assuming you brought out the use of ARPA funds for the purchase, so there's no tax dollars involved in that, and it's a piece of property, so it will always have value and increase in value if it can be used at a future date for some purpose within the city. I think primarily we're all thinking about a fire station. Then great. If not, it can be resold and
okay.
Mr. Stackpole, we've just had that conversation, and
Yep.
I don't think any of us are willing to. We need to have that fire station. We need to use it for public safety.
I agree. I'm with it 100%.
I think that we're all just. I think that because we're looking at a future vote of the citizenry, the voters will have to approve a fire station. So tonight we are purchasing land for the purpose of. It's an appropriate for a fire station, which we will bring before the voters. That is the purpose of what we're doing this evening. Would everybody agree with that? I mean, there's always the intent to say, land is land and land is valuable. And the land that the current fire station is on will eventually be valuable and be used to be sold so that we help pay for the new fire station that we hope to have within a few years. So I think we've had enough discussion on this. I'm going to call the vote. Councilor Brink.
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councilor Stackpole.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I am also a yes of all those present. Okay. Motion passes. 22-49-01, order to authorize that the deed for the property 3 Beaver Hill Road be signed by the treasurer on the city manager's behalf. I am going to ask Ian to just remind us what this is, and then I will ask for a motion. Ian, go ahead.
Yes. So the property committee authorized this sale on May 11th, 2021. So it's been a while. We've agreed to sell it to Habitat for Humanity, but because it was tax acquired property, it's taken a very long time to work through title issues. This has been a complicated property related to title issues. The purchase price was $30,000. The property originally was found dangerous. It was demolished back in June 5th of 2018. Excuse me. The dangerous building hearing was held on June 5th, 2018. The demolition took place on April 16th, 2019. So it's been in states of foreclosure and tax liens for at least that long, if not longer. And then Habitat for Humanity finally finished the title process. They sent a check, and we would like to proceed with the closing. With Steve not here, who was the individual that was required to sign the deed by the city council, just allowing the treasurer to sign on his behalf so that we can complete the closing. So that's a long-winded way.
Ian,
yes,
could you just remind, and I know Councilor Brink is new, but it was new to me, that the property subcommittee, when these properties come through, like from the land bank, the property subcommittee can send that on. It doesn't have to come back to the council. I mean, there's a different process, correct?
That's right. Yeah, in the case of these, you've delegated that authority from the city council to the property subcommittee to process these transactions.
That's why, right. I just wanted to make sure that why people hadn't seen that particular piece, it didn't come from property to the city council. And I didn't understand that either until we did the first one last year. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve, and then we'll discuss if there's any discussion. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Brink. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Stackpole. Any discussion by the council? Seeing none, then I'll call the roll. Councilor Brink?
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman?
Yes.
Councilor Stackpole?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
Yes.
And I am also yes. That is unanimous of all those present. Okay, council member comments. Councilor Brink, do you have anything this evening?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Councilor Hanselman?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank both you and Deputy Mayor for your comments on the passing of Councilor Tuttle. He will be very missed, and I think I'll be planting some tomato plants in his honor this coming spring. So thank you. Nothing else.
Councilor Stackpole?
I just want to follow up, same thing, Councilor Hanselman. I consider John, certainly he was a colleague. He was a seatmate for me on the council for a period of time, which I enjoyed very much, and I considered him a friend. Although I never did drive up and get some tomatoes from him, as he always encouraged me to do. My condolences to his family, and he will be truly missed by me, and I'm sure many, many others.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
I didn't really have to ask for tomatoes. They just arrived at the door when we needed them. He was a good neighbor, nice man. And, you know, he and his wife have been neighbors of ours for years. And it's always sad to lose a neighbor. And it's always, especially when, you know, in my belief, as everybody knows, I deal with seniors. And, you know, I'm looking at this list of seniors in my building, and I'm like, you know, 82 plus for the majority of them, up to 95. And he was too young, and you know, and I know that there was a lot of life left to live. He had two beautiful grandsons, one of whom has recently arrived in this world, and I think he would have enjoyed his time with them. So I'm very disappointed to have him lose his life at this young of an age. So he will be missed. He will be missed.
Thank you. Yep, he certainly will be missed. But I meant what I said, that we will recognize him more formally. And I'm not sure exactly if it'll be in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks, but we will plan a time when the council can do that. John, did you want to say something about Councilor Tuttle, or?
I did, if you don't
Can you
mind,
just wait a
Madam
minute
Mayor.
till I finish? All right, go ahead, then I'll let you go ahead.
I just wanted to tell everyone, I don't know if people realize, but John and his brother wrestled for my dad back in the early 60s.
right.
John was a New England champion. It was one of the only main New England champion teams with actually with Woodsum and many others. But I've known John since I was a child, and he was always very respectful and very cordial. And I was shocked to hear of his death. But as a young man, he was a heck of an athlete, and that's kind of how I remember him. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, John. Future agenda items. Councilor Brink? Anything?
Nothing.
Councilor Hanselman?
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Stackpole?
Nothing, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Hurley?
Nothing at this time.
And I have nothing. I'm just going to tell you guys, enjoy next week because it's going to get really busy after that. So thank you all. I'll declare us adjourned.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.